Good evening and welcome to Your Neighbor Next Door. Tonight we bring you an extraordinary story of particular interest to people who live here in Waterbury, Connecticut. Holy Land USA and its 50-foot cross was a fixture here for more than 40 years. You're about to meet David Duncan. David and his wife Alice live in Plymouth, Connecticut, and no one knows more about that cross than David because he built it. Until now, that cross has held a secret that is ready to be revealed. Here now is David in his own words.
I was a heavy equipment when I was 15. I was running dozer out in Oregon, up to building roads up to the coastal range of the Cascades, which is a bad place to build roads because every mountain's like that. So I figured in those days, when winter come, construction cut down right down. So I said, how am I going to support my wife and kids if there's no work in the wintertime? So I said, I got to find something more permanent. So the fellows in the service with said, well, my dad owns an iron shop. If he beat me home, I had to go up and take him out, him and his wife out, Alice and I, up in Albany, New York. So they beat me home. So we went up to take him out to dinner, and he offered me a job. Well, I was looking for something different. It wasn't seasonal. And that suited it fine. So I loved it. I fabricated. I learned how to fabricate. I worked for the outfit 10 years. His father was an old German blacksmith who used to make keys and locks, on a forge, a anvil. So I learned that trade, and I learned how to lay out. Finally moved back down to Connecticut because I wanted to start my own business, and I went to work for Ramus Ironworks down in Naugatuck, and I was foreman for him. And I told him when I got there, I said, I'm going to eventually start my own business. Yeah. I never made so much money. I went through the 55 flood. I mean, I never made so much money in my life. It scared me. Well, I can start you from the man who instigated the whole thing, and that's Attorney Greco. Mm-hmm. I had a steel plant. We did a lot of fabrication of different materials, and he was refused to be a priest because he wasn't healthy enough. He was sitting there and said, these people got nothing to look at. And this mountain, Center Mountain, was where we played cowboy and Indians many, many days. Back in the days of Hood Gibson and Tom Mix, and this goes way back. But anyway, he said, what have they got to look at? Nothing but a factory building. At that time, Scoville was pretty big. And he decided he had to do something on that mountaintop. So I went to some glass people and he had 3 crosses made up. And he set them up on where they could see him, but they were small, and every time a wind came, it'd blow them down, and all kinds of stuff.
Illuminated by neon lighting, the Peace Cross, as it became known, remained on Pine Hill for 10 years. In 1958, the Catholic campaigners, together with John, bought Pine Hill in what was to become one of the most extraordinary sites in this region, Holy Land USA. And for the next 10 years, that light was the major attraction to Holy Land. But unfortunately, due to vandalism and due to the high winds that constantly pummel the top of that area, the cross was no longer able to stand, and it became necessary to take it down. That's when we rejoined John and his relationship with David Duncan.
Anyway, he got this idea to put a big cross up there. So he had one drawn up, and he knew me. He used to come down there for steel. Finally, he said, go to the scrap pile and get what you want. Took a liking to me, I guess. because I had all that scrap iron. So he got to talking about this cross, and he said, I'd like to have you look at it. So he brought the prints in, I looked at it, says, yeah, sure, we can build anything. And but it was made out of special steel, which we had to get from Bethlehem, which is a Core 10 steel. It rusts up. You don't paint it or anything. It's the same steel they use on railroad bridges and stuff like that, where it's hard to get at to paint and stuff like that. So it'll rust up, and in 5 years it'll turn a bronze color, but it protects the steel. That will be there. I always said, that'll be there after Christ comes. But anyway, we talked about it, and I says, oh yeah, that's good. We can do that. So nobody else even bid against it. So I did. I said, well, I'm not going to make any money in this. I'll do it for cost. Well, there was a problem of putting it together. Of getting it up. At that time, all we could get through those gates up there was what we call a roustabout. It's a self-powered crane on wheels. And there was a few problems with that. And anyway, getting back to building the cross, I put the best. We had all certified welders, and I put the best men on it. And it came out beautiful. I felt really excited about it. And then I thought, well, why don't we, now this is where my wife can come in on this, why don't we check to see if we can fly that across town with a helicopter, get one of these days, when that big crane helicopter come out. She did, and they got interested, and I said, so okay, I had to get a place to put the cross together so they could pick it up and fly it and set it where it's supposed to go. I think it'd be easier if we just hook the chopper on it, fly it over, and settle it down on the anchor bolts. Mm-hmm. Boom, boom, boom. Very easy. So she did, and they investigated it. They were interested, but then they found out they couldn't fly it across Waterbury. It was too heavy, dangerous a load to drop on the city. So. Yeah. But I did procure a spot at Clydell Manufacturing on Wookert Road. They said they could put the cross together there, and they'd pick it up. I figured it'd make a great show. Cross flying over Waterbury. We got going at it, and I said, well, we're going to have to assemble it on the site and then raise it up. So we did. We fabricated the stem and then the cross and the upper part of the stem separate. And I tell you, I couldn't keep my eyes off of that. I felt such a thrill doing that. And I'd better not watch it. I cry very easily. You get emotional. But anyway, we fabricated it. We got the Core 10 steel. We had to order that special. So I ordered it exact cut so I could just assemble it. It weighed 11,000 pounds. Okay. That's not too bad for a crane. Okay. It doesn't have to be a big crane. So anyway, we went down and set it up and found out what we had to do. The crane wouldn't quite reach high enough so that the shiv could have a ball and hook on there with some space. So we had to jack that whole thing up and put it on blocks so that we could reach it. And with that all set, I said, okay, we're ready to go. And I loaded up the big old flatbed we had and hauled it down one piece. And I was getting excited. And we set everything up, and I said I had an old railroad transit. It was accurate, one of those big ones. I set that up for making sure it was absolutely straight. And at that time, the Waterbury Republican come up and took a picture as it was raising it up.
Oh, no kidding.
And It included me in it too, in looking through the transit, of course. I had built a ladder inside of the cross so you'd get up and that was beautiful when it first lit up. It was just, it was really very exciting. It was something that, as a new Christian, I just felt there was a tie between God and myself. He helped me along in this thing, and I know he did. He come down one day and said, Dave, said, I want to see you up at the Holy Land. Something I got to talk to you about. So I went up and he says, they built a catacombs and everything up there. I also built that chapel down there.
Yeah, beautiful chapel.
But it was great that way, and then he called me up there, and I went up, and I said, what do you want now? He said, Greco, he says, I want to show you something. So when I went, there's this huge cleft in this rock. He says, I want you to put a roof over this. And I says, over that? I got all these different heights of stones and stuff. I could build up steel and put it, He says, I know you can do it. Turned around, walked away. Well, I did that for him. And, but I wanted to say something else during the dedication of that cross. There was all these speakers up there, and at the time I was attending a Dale Carnegie course, and he wanted me to come and ask me to speak. I says, I can't speak. No way. I've got a lot of dignitaries there. And I felt a little bit cowardly, so I'm standing there, and I said to Alice, I says, maybe I will. I tell you, I fought 5 big campaigns in Europe in combat. I was never so scared in my life when I stood up there. I've been in ironwork, I've climbed high steel, nothing bothered me. But standing up before those people, so I gave my little piece. So I just introduced myself, introduced the speakers, and then I started, and I don't remember what happened from there on. I really don't remember. So I told her, I said, well, I messed that up. Oh, no, I said, you did all right. Of course she'd say I did all right. But anyway, I talked to Greco after that. I says, man, I said, I was scared to death up there. I says, I hope I didn't spoil the whole thing. He said, you were the best speaker they had up there. Because you spoke the truth. And I included all congregations, all churches and the people, and that was encouragement. But anyway, it pushed me along in my walk with God, for sure. Finally, we retired. We had a place built in Montana, because I always wanted to go out in those mountains out there. So we finally withdrew from the corporation, and Alice and I moved out to Montana, the northwestern corner. Beautiful spot in the world. And we had a nice little cabin. We used to come back occasionally. Every year I drove back because all of our kids were there. And every time I come back, I was wondering how the cross is doing. And I got a call the first time I come back, said, they want to paint the cross. I said, no, don't paint that. No. That doesn't take paint. It's going to seal within itself, and there'll be never be any need of paint. Well, it wasn't long. We were here probably about 3 or 4 weeks, was it, before we heard they were going to take it down. I says, what? Oh yeah, they're going to take it down. So this engineer was telling them, explaining it to them what it was. I said, well, it's, they made out of old girders. And they made it sound like I went to the dump and picked up these pieces of steel and just hacked them together. And I was going to fight it. I says, he's not getting away. I don't think he even knows what Corten steel is. So Alice wrote a letter to the newspaper and explained that I wanted to get into this because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And luckily, she didn't put a phone number for him to return it. Return the call. So they didn't call us back. So first I was sort of concerned about it. Then I says, no, why should I get into that? I'm too old for that. It was a big thing in my life. When I saw that, I used to watch it when the crane was just picking it up by one of the cross arms. Man, it tore the heart right out of me. I said, I got to do something. And so I think the Lord just didn't give Alice a reminder to put your phone number in there. They'll call you back, because I think I'd really got into there. And I was too old to get into a fight with an engineer.
Right.
That second cross they put up after me was quite expensive. I think over $200,000.
Sure.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that one we put up, we did a cost. We didn't make any profit on it.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time up there, though. I used to crawl up the ladder and sit in one of the on the arms. And people used to, truckers especially, say, oh, that city with a cross in it?
Yep.
You know? Yeah. People, they just look for that cross, because you come in, no matter which way you came in,
you'd see it.
It would grow.
Yeah.
Well, it was, believe me, I felt that God really used me on that, so I kept my mouth shut. Things were working out. There was a man that I just loved. He was such a, we got along so great together. And he said, oh, I know you can do it. I know, and walk away. That's a heck of a thing to do, give somebody a project. But I did that, then he wanted that little church, a little chapel built, so we did that. But he did, Attorney Greco did a lot for me too.
Yeah.
A man of great faith. And I said to myself, did you ever think of writing to those people, if they were still alive, that what you're doing up here in Holy Land by yourself, but you were too sickly to become a priest?
But
oh yeah, he was very emotional about that place.
yeah.
He was a true man of God, though, I'll tell you, as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. He nodded when he lived it. He spoke it. And we had some great times together.